to Bill Flynn in the morning.
All right, we're going to be doing some loving this morning, the loving on the lawn with the help of GrowinGreen. And from GrowinGreen, one of the managers joins us. His name is Tommy Cowett. And
Good
Tommy,
morning.
Good morning. Good to see you. And I understand you've been loading up on the inspection wagon and heading out and doing a tour. What did you inspect and why, and what did you see?
Well, if you have not noticed, we've received quite a bit of precipitation in the area,
Yeah.
and concerns come in, from customers who've been seeded recently, especially the people who were seeded last week. And, went out and did some inspections to see if things actually washed away. And lo and behold, our proven method of seeding a lawn, where we try to use implements like aerators and aerators and slit seeders to actually incorporate the seed into the soil so it stays put, worked.
Yay, very good.
We did not lose a lot of seed.
So I can see several scenarios potentially happening. Number one, you pay to seed your lawn, and it blows all the good seed into the next-door neighbor's lawn, and he or she ends up with a beautiful lawn, and you end up with bare patches.
Oh,
that
how
could
bad
happen,
could that be?
but not with GrowinGreen in this
that
case.
did not happen. No.
The other thing is you get so much water, it
Floats it away.
It does float it away, but if it's embedded into the soil,
It stays put. That's right.
good. So good marks there overall.
Not only that, it is now very soaked. We couldn't have asked for better. I'm not kidding you, Bill. This is something that happens every year where we do a seeding and, we give everyone these directions on how to water. And that's sometimes a hard job. If you don't have a sprinkler system or an irrigation system in your yard or just it's hard for you to get that water out on the lawn, and everything's dry and parched, and sometimes it was a week or two ago.
Right, and you remember we had the call from the woman who wanted to use the lawn sprinkler and was actually had some physical issues. It's literally hard for her to get out there.
Physically hard for her to move it, from one place to the next.
And just stepping across uneven ground can be a problem for older folks, and you don't want to fall on the soil or rock or, wherever. So.
Yeah, and as Turf Commander will tell you in a lot of these commercials we do, hey, you can wait on Mother Nature. That's going to work. As long as it's in the soil, that seed's not going to, it's still going to be viable. It just needs to get imbibed with water, swell up, and then it will sprout.
Do its magic.
A tall fescue seed is a very hard and dry object. It's got to soak up that water. It takes quite a bit of soaking to get it wet.
Does it actually expand the size of the seed
yes,
when it
the
just
seed
like a sponge
swells
does?
Up, just swells up. Exactly.
How about that? By a factor of twice its
Probably
size,
three
maybe?
times its
Three,
size.
really?
I would
Wow.
say. When I'm looking at seeds just yesterday morning that were wet, they're big. You could see them bulging. I mean, they're getting like a sponge, and getting larger, just swelling up and imbibed with water, and then able to sprout. But this was really, we couldn't have asked for more. Mother Nature's been very kind to us in this area. I mean, I think I got 6 inches over the weekend, and of course I had 4 before, so I had about a total of 10 inches.
Well, Smith Patterson had done a measured for a week. And he ended up with 9+ inches of rain on his gate, so it's very consistent with what you just said.
I'm 10 plus, and
wow.
Hey, all my seed is up. That's the beauty of it,
How about your neighborhood seeds? I know your neighbors contacted you this year and said, Tommy, we want you and GrowinGreen to do our lawn because we're tired of seeing how pretty yours is compared to ours.
Those were some of the lawns I went out and inspected first yesterday morning, and sure enough, everybody's getting them up. It's up. And there might be some touch-up areas like around downspouts, gutters, places like that where you're going to have some washing, which is, just unavoidable. I mean, you've got heavy flow from a gutter or heavy flow from a downspout, something like that. You're probably going to wash, and you need to replenish the seed, and GrowinGreen does that.
I'm a little surprised, and I'm sure you can explain to me why, that we haven't heard of more trees down because the soil is so wet in so many places, and the winds have been consistent and, and blustery 30, 35-mile-an-hour winds, and at the treetops, That's a lot of motion. I was just talking to a friend of mine who said when he was a kid, he used to climb up pine trees and ride them in the wind just for that purpose.
That's crazy.
You know, it is crazy.
I love it.
But it's
I
surprising.
know people who do that for a living and have a fun time doing that.
You know how long it would take me to get dizzy doing that now? I mean,
Oh,
just getting
my
up on the
God.
tree, if it still is an issue. But
Yeah.
but the fact that we haven't had more uprooting of trees has encouraged me. And is the ground just not as wet as we thought? Why is that?
You know, I've been looking at these gigantic, what are they, poplars, tulip poplars that I have in my property, which are probably, gosh, they've got to be 85 to 100 feet tall. I mean, really looking at them and thinking, oh, my God, they're going to come down. I shouldn't sleep in my bedroom tonight because
well, you
that's
know
the
enough
side
about
of the
these
house
plants.
where they're going to hit if they fall. No, you know, it's a very big concern. You really should be concerned about that and inspect those trees. In fact, I went out, I think, one point on Saturday to look to see if anything funny was going on.
Now, what are you looking for? You're looking for a change in the root structure itself, really?
You're looking at the tree. Just inspect that base, inspect the root flare, inspect anything, look up in that tree, and just look for anything that might look odd. You know, like a lean of some type. Or look at the soil around that tree. I mean, is there an upheave? Is there something going on? Look closely. And just to see, is there a potential that I can have a failure on this tree, which would cause, you know, damage to catastrophe could happen with a tree like that. I mean, there were some that went down. I watched the news and saw a few. You know,
but compared to what you might expect otherwise, I mean, we were pretty fortunate.
We did real well, and I don't know if it's because everything was so dry and it was a nice soaking rain. It wasn't like a lot of torrential downpours. It was really nice and mild, and it came and it came and it.
So does that mean the tree had time to absorb some of that fluid in the soil or whatever before it became so saturated?
Sure. I mean, it was a nice, gentle rain rather than something that was, you know, really torrential.
Well, the good news in talking about seeding, as you spent some time last week on the show, really now through just the end of this month is the best window to do all of taking care of any spots you missed before, or if you haven't done it yet.
Gosh, if you haven't done it and now it's perfect and it's going to be so easy for you. This is kind of the catch-22. You can go early, you know, and then you're going to end up, if Mother Nature's not kind, you're going to end up watering a lot. Or you could play the card and go late, and maybe you're going to get more moisture. Now it's so easy to keep it wet. Once it's wet, you're gold.
Okay. All right.
And then it'll all come up and pop. Temperatures now are still key. I mean, we can still get the soil temperatures still warming up, very conducive. This is Tall Fescue's favorite time of year.
All right, we're going to continue with the Love Your Lawn Hour in just a moment on the Eagle.
Call now. The number is 896-1980, AM 980, The Eagle.
Good morning. Before you can go grazing in the grass, not only have to have an appetite, but you got to have some grass along the way. And with us this morning, it's the Love Your Lawn Hour with GrowinGreen, growinggreen.com. And the folks there do a great job. Tommy Cowett is a certified agronomist.
Good morning.
With a degree from North Carolina State University, and wrote all about how to grow grass. And your thesis at that time was doing some comparative analysis of different grass growth.
Yes, actually, I'm right in my thesis was on the establishment of tall fescue.
So you're at home. Now tell me.
I did a master's degree on exactly what we're trying to do right now.
Beautiful. Now, if tall fescue could order up the weather, what would be the ideal forecast? What would the weather forecast be if the grass could make it so?
It would be 85-degree temperatures during the day, partly sunny, partly cloudy. You know, I mean, doesn't need to have full sun all the time, but it likes it nice and cool. Cool season grass. And the nighttime air temperature's probably in the 50s. That would be like a paradise for a tall fescue plant.
I'm a tall fescue kind of guy, actually. I find out it's not too far from what I'd want.
Yeah, I
Leave the
mean,
windows open at night and get the nice cool air.
oh yeah, and you might want a blanket or two, at night,
Just a little
50s,
bit.
something like that.
Yeah. But-
just to keep it. But that's optimum,
And
and
that's-
we are right in that window right now.
Yes.
To grow that grass, get it as good as you can possibly get it.
So the list of excuses for the grass is running low when
Very
the weather's
low
like
right now.
this.
Yes, that's correct.
That's good. Tell me, too, one thing I'm planning to do today, if once we're done with the show and some other responsibilities I have later this afternoon, I hope to be able to get out and to handle some leaf removal. Now, it's not bad yet, but I am starting to see, the early signs of, fall is definitely here, and leaves are coming down. I've got some early shedding. I don't know, what are they, sycamore or whatever that shed early?
Sure, you've got some oaks.
Yeah.
I've been there. Your house has you've got some wooded areas.
We do.
And that's a great place for the rest of the leaves that are on the lawn. Just take that really nice echo blower you've got, backpack, and blow them into the woods, into wooded areas.
So that's okay. I don't have to bag them.
No.
Just blow them into the natural area in the back of the
The
house.
natural area wants the leaves back. Those trees want those leaves. And then they'll decay and they'll become plant food for the trees.
Okay.
So get them in the woods.
Now, the one complication I might have is I've got dogs that love to play in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they may even want to play in the leaf pile.
Well, don't make a real leaf pile. Just kind of scatter them around and blow them around in the woods. But, hey, or let them have fun.
Let them have, because it's not like they're going to drag a whole lot of them out.
You've got great dogs. Let them have that fun. Jumping around in leaves, it's not just for kids.
But the importance,
for
too,
dogs, too.
quite frankly, yeah, it is. But the importance of making sure that grass, that at this point is new growth.
Right.
Talk to me about what the leaves.
Smothering. You want sunlight. You've got to get some sunlight to those seedlings, and you really got to get the leaves up just for the sunlight, just so we can get some photosynthesis to those baby plants, those immature little seedlings, which, as Smith calls them, frog hair. It's one leaf stage. They're just like little needles right now. And you want to get 2 and then 3, and then the more you get, the whole thing builds upon itself. The more leaf area you get, the more photosynthesis you're going to have, the more food that is manufactured by that plant, then more leaves come, and we're building. It's like capitalism.
Well, that's a beautiful comparison, I think.
Growing a business, it's getting bigger and more. And then there's branches off of that, which are called shoots and stems and stolons and things like that will emerge. And, you're going to have rhizomes next. You're building a factory. It's a factory there.
Now, you mentioned branches off of the growth there. And I've had, with the winds, and anybody that's got trees in or near their yard is going to have the same issue. And that is, you're going to get some limbs that have had their better day that come down, and these maybe they've been hanging up in higher branches for a year or two, and finally the wind shakes these things out.
Oh, yeah, I had one of those happen. Yeah, I thought this thing was hollow, and I always wanted to go cut this giant hollow, it was like the lateral, the main stem of this sycamore tree. And it looked like the whole thing was hollow. And I'm looking out the window, and I'm like, what happened to that? And I went out looking for it, and it just crumbled. This thing was about 25 feet long or tall, completely hollow. I'm looking on the ground underneath where it was, because I was going to cut it down and try to cut it. I knew it was hollow all the way through, but this thing was standing upright. It completely disintegrated when it hit the ground. It just
yes, I've
gone.
Seen, yeah.
I mean, the whole thing. I mean, it was 25 feet long and hollow, the whole thing. And I always wanted to cut it, somehow lower it, and then maybe cut it and make drums out of it. Put some skins on either side, like some type of. But no, it went and it crumbled.
Sorry for your lost drum set there.
Yeah, it would have been a free drum set.
On that topic, I had trees suffer some big damage, I don't know, some years ago. But there was still a large trunk that was up in the air, I don't know, maybe 20 feet still, 15 feet. It had broken off, and it lost all of it, really, its photosynthesis ability, so it died. but I got this big chunk of wood sticking up,
Ooh.
which at some point, and this is what we did, I just started, pushing on it literally with my hands.
Right.
And it was enough.
Finally went over.
That I could literally push this thing over. And,
Sure.
and it had rotted so much to the point. But the question is it wise to let something get to that point that you're literally hand pushing it over? Is that a problem, or is that?
It's a big problem. I mean, anything like that, they call them widow makers. I mean, a dead wood in a tree should be dealt with. I mean, you don't want it falling on anybody's head. Right. From a height of any substantial height, you better, people should inspect their trees and look for these types of limbs.
I think what happened in the case of the tree I'm mentioning, there was some ice damage, and we've seen that before. It just, the top of the tree just snaps off. It was an old pine tree.
Mm-hmm.
And it just left a chunk of it. Fortunately, it was back away from human habitated areas, but there was a time that it needed to come over.
Still dangerous
Yeah.
for people walking in that area.
All right. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more of the Love Your Lawn Hour. Tommy Cowett with Growing Green is with us. You can, if you have a question about your lawn, 896-1980. You can call now. Would be a great time.
Call now. The number is 896-1980. AM 980 The Eagle.
Good morning. We continue with the Love Your Lawn Hour, and Tommy Cowett is with us from Growing Green. Growing Green website is growinggreen.com. There's a terrific little Ask the Expert option. You can go on there. You can also find all of the shows where we talk about any number of topics. Certainly, we've been talking the last several weeks about this window of time to do your planting, to do your seeding, to do the aeration, all of the things that go into making a great lawn. And by the way, I got to tell you, largely due to the work of Growing Green, I've been able to get something that for years has eluded me, and I don't even know what you call it. But you know that where your grass grows up to the curb line,
Mm-hmm.
and you take in my case, I take a weed eater and I get a nice clean edge all the way down, nice little furrow, and I've been building that up almost like the old flat top hairdo. You know what I'm talking
about? Flat top hairdo. Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Straight across.
And it's straight and it's nice and thick, and you can see the wall of grass and even a little bit of the
little
soil.
Forehead.
Yeah, a little bit of the forehead. So I've been really, you get excited about things like this because it has not been
sharp.
happening. So I'm getting it just about where I want it. And lo and behold, you know where this is going.
Oh my God. No.
I think some young teenagers missed their parking place a little bit on the road and parked the car on that little strip of grass and smashed that flat top down there. Now, had the old man in me won, I would have gone and said, "Hey, get the car off my lawn."
Really?
But I wasn't ready to go there because it's too fresh for me to remember.
Grounded.
What it was like to be a teenager. But I guess
no car for 2 weeks.
The older, I don't know, that we know what it takes to get that kind of quality. That
no appreciation there. That they just ran over it.
Yeah,
that's awful.
It didn't leave a rut, but it did flatten the flat top.
The flat top. No.
And I guess
you'd been building it up.
Yeah. Is there just let nature kind of?
I think nature will bring it back. It'll get back. It'll pop back.
It's hard for me to get too angry about stuff like that. But anyway, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about when the technicians are on site. When they come to any lawn of your customer base, they're making a lot of determinations on site specifically about that lawn.
Sure, conditions.
And tell me some of the options right now you've had to maybe change from what you normally would do or make more flexibility for those technicians.
Right. Well, we normally come prepared to aerate, aeravate, or slit seed your lawn. And those are 3 different pieces of equipment. Now, that's what makes us very versatile in what we select to use on each individual lawn, and we'll use maybe sometimes all 3 of those implements.
So, number one, first, the right equipment, which you got to have, and you do.
Yeah, for different areas on the lawn. If it's bare areas, aeravate it. If it's a good quality, beautiful lawn, a 10, hey, you aerate with, you're basically doing a core aeration. If it's slopey, if you really need to get the seed incorporated into the soil a little bit more, or it's really, really hard compacted, you could use slit seed.
And the truth is, though, as you've pointed out on the program, one lawn can have multiple of these issues.
Different microclimates,
so you
different
gotta
conditions, right.
You got to have one piece of equipment for this part of the lawn.
Sure.
And by the way, for the homeowner that thinks this is an inexpensive way to go by buying your own stuff and doing it yourself, I mean, each one of these pieces of equipment is thousands and thousands of dollars.
Sure. You can, a lot of folks rent the aerator every year from, one of the rental places and let it drag you around the yard.
That'll beat you up.
And it hurts. It's a painful thing to do. It was always my nemesis, I got to admit, even though I have a master's degree in turf and have done this for 30 years. That has always been my nemesis.
But is it just
aeration seeding?
Because it shakes you to death?
It shakes you to death. It beats you to death. I feel for our guys at the end of the day, but we've got these Toro ride-ons now. We still have the Ryans, which pull you around. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, with this wet condition, getting back to your question, hey, Scott, our general manager, had to look, guys, no aerators, with the wet. I mean, since last weekend, not this past weekend, but weekend before we got all that rain, we were limited on using aerators last week, just because it was way too wet, and you're going to cause a lot of, mired up, or the thing could actually sink into the soil. So, we selected tools that fit the job and not cause any more damage. Mm-hmm. I mean, so you're not going to, if you're smart, you're not going to drive your car through a road that has water over the top if you're smart. You know what I'm saying? I saw some things on TV this past weekend.
Yes, like it's not that deep. I can make this.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, where's this guy going? It looks like he's going off into the abyss. Mm-hmm. And then it looked like he was headed for the rapids.
Oh, how scary.
And then he hit the rapids, and then the white pickup truck goes down into
Yeah, so but similarly, though, the idea that you don't want to lose a piece of equipment into terrain that is really boggy, right?
Absolutely.
And this
right.
stuff that you're using
can cause more damage than good doing,
now,
when it's wet like that.
The other thing that I think is very revealing about the way that GrowinGreen does business is you have your technicians come out to your house. All the managers essentially are on the program, but you get to see firsthand, okay, this is the way it needs to be right now for these conditions. You'll see things, for instance, if a piece of machinery needs a little tuning up or something, it'll show up in your yard. Right?
Yeah, are you talking about what happened to me?
Well, I'm looking at a picture here, and maybe
thanks, Rodney.
Little explanation, but it's
well, everything's fine. It's just that I noticed after I got aerated, which I didn't need aeration, but we were doing all of my neighbors, and 4 of my neighbors around me needed aeration really bad. So that's the only piece of equipment he brought. And he really didn't need to do mine at all. I really didn't need it at all. But he did.
But he wanted, because he wanted to go out of his way and do something
and
nice.
He probably could have not engaged the aerator because this lawn is perfect. It's a 10. Well, I noticed what looked like tire tracks at first. And then yesterday morning I went out and was inspecting all the lawns, and I looked at mine, and that's not a tire track. What it was where he engaged the PTO.
Power takeoff. That thing ripped it. So I sent him a picture. My cat was actually in the tire track. What is not the tire track, but the destroyed strip where the aerator articulator ripped it in a stripe all the way down the lawn. Now, last year, David Heisig, one of our senior techs, he's more senior than. Okay, if you'll hold this thought, we're going to finish up.
These guys always ruin my lawn.
I think they may actually be targeting you for these. Anyway, we'll come back and finish this up in just a moment on the Eagle.
Call now. The number is 896-1980. AM 980, The Eagle.
Good morning. Tommy Cowett with us this morning from GrowinGreen, and by listening to this show, by being a part of it, I feel like we're helping to generate new lawn experts everywhere.
You're one.
Because I'm much more aware
You're
of
becoming
things to look
quite
for.
the lawn expert.
Well, thank you. Maybe one day my resume will end up on your desk at Growing Green as somebody who can help. But you were talking right before the break about the fact that you have technicians literally coming out to your house, making decisions. And if there is anything that's a little bit out of line, you can catch it. For instance, the tuning of a machine or the use of a machine that maybe you want to have a discussion with that technician about. What I'm thinking about is that Nationwide Corporation, the CEO is in San Jose and the technicians over here, in North Carolina, in Kernersville, North Carolina. The likelihood of that technician going to San Jose, using the exact same equipment, it's not going to happen.
No.
And he may never know, and it may be a season or two or three that issue would keep on showing up in lawns and causing problems and getting less than great results. So can you talk a little bit about how important it is, to see these things in real time and real practice and maybe catch if there's an issue or a decision that's going on at the at the homeowner's level to be able to fix that?
Oh, that's so important. We're by no means perfect. No one is. And we sometimes make mistakes, okay? But we can fix it. We can also watch each other's back.
If you know about it.
Yeah, if you know about it, because we're very observant. I mean, we're not, we're all looking over each other's shoulders and trying to help and making sure that everything's going to go as good as it possibly can. And if it doesn't work the first time, we'll fix it. I mean, that's the cool thing about Growing Green is we're coming back. If you're on this program, you're going to get a washout. We're going to reseed you, that type of thing. I mean,
I got to mention that recently I had a situation at the house where, the bug guy came and he said, let me know if you have any problems. We'll come back. And so I let him know I had a problem. He came back, but he charged me again.
Ouch. No, free service calls with Growing Green.
But see,
exactly.
that's, the idea is if you've done it and you've got your hand stamp on it, you're going to stand with that product.
Absolutely. It's free service calls. It's stated right there in our customer agreement. If you're on the full program, you get unlimited free service calls, and I encourage a lot of customers when they come on the program and say they got a lot of bad weeds, really noxious weeds that are very difficult to control. And it might take me 2 seasons, maybe 3 to get rid of this stuff. What I encourage them to do is, hey, 2-3 weeks after a treatment, okay, you're going to see that stuff burning down. But, hey, if you see some areas where we missed or, you keep attuned to it, call me. Call me personally. Call your tech. Call someone. Let's do a little touch-up. Let's go do a spot treatment on just that particular problem. And we will beat it down quicker. And we'll get you where you want to go much faster with the intermittent treatment. And I like that. I mean, that makes a happy customer.
And do sometimes when you take out one particularly prolific weed, maybe you open up a window for another weed to come back in that wasn't there before? Does that happen?
I wouldn't say that. No. I mean, I'm talking about things like violets. Okay. Very difficult to control. And, mainly violets, that's the one that's around all year. And that's one that's a constant. That is something that is very difficult to control. And it takes multiple times. Now, we've got some great, personally, I have a great tool in Tenacity, a product from Syngenta, which is a very good product for this. And I've eradicated the violets from my yard completely, and it didn't take long, but it took repeated applications. In one season, I got rid of them completely. Well, it used to be a real problem.
And the fact that something is potent and is proven as the product you mentioned, Tenacity, you still had to go back and take a couple of more whacks at the ball.
I did, and that's an expensive product that doesn't make it into our normal lawn care program because everybody doesn't need Tenacity. Tenacity is kind of a selective weed control product that is very expensive, number one, but it's also just, it's really not, it's the silver bullet for certain things. But you don't want that widespread.
As you have mentioned the weather has been so cooperative with really that tall fescue is really finding its home. Is this also the time where you get a really good idea of where nature wants to grow grass on your lawn and where nature has another idea, whether it's moss or maybe another type of grass? Is now really the time to see those borders?
Actually, right now, you'll see fescue grow anywhere.
Okay.
You can grow it on the top of your head right now outside. I'm telling you. I mean, it's the perfect environmental condition right now. This is where we can get it up, get it moving, keep the leaves off of it, get it mature. It'll make it through the sun. It'll make it through the winter. It'll be beautiful. The fescue will. It's just when the leaves come back out next May is where these areas that you've had grass in all winter, all fall, are beautiful. It's fescue, maybe a little spindly, but it's beautiful. And it's where you're actually getting grass to grow for 6 months out of the year. Once those leaves come out, end of May, it's shading it. It's not getting that 6 hours of sunlight that it needs, and then it declines next May. Mm-hmm. So, you can get it to grow. So go ahead and plant it. I say do it. You got 6 months.
And then what about the pruning or clearing away for a little more sunlight to get back in that hollow area of your lawn?
Yeah, working on your trees, working on your limbing, working on that type of thing next year if you want to try to preserve that grass. If you like it there, Mm-hmm. I've got several areas under maples in my yard that, I know it's going to decline next May. It's pretty much going to go back to being bare dirt. However, now it's beautiful. The grass just came up. It may be they're brand new seedlings, and it's going to be gorgeous all the way through next May.
Anything that homeowners, when you hear from people right now that are calling GrowinGreen, aside from making the appointments to get this the last breath of seeding to go around, because you work several weeks out, I know. So this is the time to fill up any holes if you have in your schedule. Let me encourage folks to call GrowinGreen. What are some of the other concerns you're hearing from people when they call? What are they looking for? What do they need? And how does GrowinGreen help that?
Mainly, bare areas, things like that. We're trying to help folks, condition their soil, improve their soil a lot. That's, we're fixing soil. We build soil.
Can you pretty much look at the soil at this point and know what's wrong with it? The color of it or the slope of it? You can send stuff off the labs all day, which I know you do. But, at some point you say, I'm 90% sure the lab is going to send back blank, blank, blank.
Right. We have baselines for everything. And knowing the Piedmont, Carolinas, and knowing how things grow here, being knowledgeable of the environment here in the Triad. Of course, we've seen these things over and over and over again. We will take the soil test to see if some amendments and how to tweak that, can help with poor soils. Normally, overall, most of the soils are good here. But, you do have areas where you got problem soils, and we'll repair that for you. So that's the biggest thing. If you've been failing on your yard for years and years because of a soil issue, we're going to help you get that fixed. And one of the ways to do is biologically. And because these microbes we work with, compost tea, some of the products that we're using right now, the humic acid containing products, Miramichi, the biochar that we're using, the AMP product with the humic acid and the high calcium and magnesium. These things will improve and repair broken soils. And
it seems to me like it does two things. It has a pretty immediate effect, but it also has a long-term effect in what's happening with the soil over time, over the season, over multiple seasons. So you're getting a quick benefit, but you're also changing the dynamic so that you get a performance over time with some of the materials.
Right, you want to build it up. You want to build it. If you've got bare areas, warts in the lawn that just won't grow grass, there's an issue with your soil, and we need to get some life into it.
We're going to have to leave it on the wart removers at our GrowinGreen.com. Tommy Cowett, hey, thank you for seeing us.
Thank you, Bill.
I know it's a busy season for you. GrowinGreen.com and also 1-866 Lawn Help if you'd like to talk firsthand to Tommy and the folks there. and maybe have them come out and do an evaluation of your yard, your lawn, and see what they do. GrowinGreen.com. We'll see you tomorrow.